So I don't know if you people have had the same experience, but my grandparents were, in my grandparents' time, you'd find that several generations of a family would be born and live and die in the same place. Okay, so you'd be born, you'd live, you'd die in the same place. Your children would be born, they'd live, they'd die in the same place, several generations. And then that began to change. And today I find, again, I don't know whether I'm speaking of my experience, and also about my community, which is the Christian community. It's difficult to find even one generation that lives in the same place all their lives. Okay, you'll have, even the one generation will, move away, or if they don't, their children will move away from that place. So I was thinking about this, and I said, again, with regard to my community, I think this is mainly something that happened from 1947 onwards. Perhaps it began with partition, where a lot of Christian families began to migrate. And I was born in the 50s, and I remember as a child, every now and then we'd be saying goodbye to another family. And mostly they would go to England. Why? Perhaps, when the British left, they felt a little insecure, because the British were, after all, our co-religionists. So, maybe they felt, we need to move, whatever the reason. And so there was this steady stream of people leaving. Still, when I was, in school, that's the 60s, 70s, growing up, I still had plenty of young people my age, I'm again talking about my community. The first half of my life was spent very much in the heart of my own Christian community, because there were so many that there was really no reason to go out of it. And we have this parish system. You have a church, and it has a parish. There's an area that is governed by that church, and all the activities that take place there, you have concerts, you have plays, you have sports days, also all things which I find schools are trying to provide now for children, but we never had to depend on school for it, because we had it in our parish. So I had lots of companions growing up, but then I noticed that from my companions also people started moving. And this was usually around the 70s, when we were graduating from college and university. They would graduate, and then when the time came to get a job, they would move abroad, migrate. Some of them would get married and move abroad, some would go abroad and find partners there. And, this happened. Anyway, I myself got married. I was involved in, bringing up my family and things in that. And eventually it came to a point where really I just had two people left from my own young days. A couple called Vicky and Roland, married to each other, both of whom I knew from childhood. And they finally migrated in January 2017. Okay, so that was the last. There are plenty of Christians left, but I'm talking about the last of my people that I grew up with and that I knew when I was young. Anyway, luckily for my work, I made a lot of new friends. I surrounded myself with a new tribe, and they have been wonderful, really wonderful to me. I've enjoyed being with them. Yesterday, 17th August, was the first anniversary of the death of my husband. And it brought to mind how this new tribe have supported me and seen me through this difficult first year. And they really, from the day that he died, where they took over my house, they supplied it with food, they made all the arrangements. And even till today, yesterday, I get a message from Mariam saying, it's Adi's first Barsi today, how are you feeling? Do you want me to come over? Okay, so I don't lack friends, I have plenty. And these are the friends who have helped me to make it through this difficult first year. But my old friends also played a part, and that is the subject of my story today. A few months after Adi died, Vicky and Roland made a visit to Pakistan. And they said, Lynette, you really should come and visit us now in America. I must explain that for many years, my husband was not in good health. He had high blood pressure, he had diabetes, he had a heart condition. So he didn't like to travel, and I didn't like traveling without him because I felt I wanted to be next to him. I would make short journeys. I'd go to Colombo, where my son is. I'd go to Islamabad, things like that. But never any long journey and never any great distance from him. So I had not seen a lot of people who went abroad for many, many years. Anyway, so they said, now it's time. You must come. There's nothing to hold you down here. So I said, yes, I should. I said yes with my mind. My heart was not in it because I was still grieving and I wasn't looking forward to a holiday or something like that. But I said yes because I felt I should do it. And it was an excellent decision because it really, really helped the healing process. I went in June. This year I went for a whole month to the USA. I wanted to go to Canada as well. In fact, I've now reached a stage where I know more people in Canada than I know in Karachi or in Pakistan. I wanted to go to Canada, but I was refused a Canadian visa, a pox on the Canadian embassy. Anyway, so now, I got a USA visa, so I went, stayed with Vicky and Roland. And so I traveled in space. I traveled halfway around the world. It was a never-ending flight. Kept getting up and walking around and, comforting myself with thoughts of, I said right side, but we call the wrong side. To put on a switch, you have to put it up rather than down. I was constantly switching switches the wrong way, switching off lights, things like that. So, there's so much that's new. These wide open spaces and these highways and, trying to navigate and things like that. So traveling in space really helped me a lot. But I also traveled in time because I went back to the past. I met friends I had not seen in many, many years. I met friends I had not seen at all since they left in 1975 or 1976. I met them again. We had become grandparents in the meantime. Never mind getting married and becoming parents, we had become grandparents in the meantime. Okay, and we were meeting after so many years. We last met when we were students. Okay, so it was a marvelous experience. Okay, to be with them and to talk about the old times. The years just vanished. They just melted away. And there were we, 64, 68, 70, all felt like we were back in our 20s. It was the same jokes, it was the same teasing, it was the same nonsense, and it was as if what had happened in between had just never happened. We were just back in the past. 5 of us got together and did a road trip through California to San Francisco. We started at Ventura and we went to Monterey and we went to, all the way up to San Francisco. We hired a van. We had so much fun, just laughing to the point of tears, And singing, of course, singing was always a very great part of our lives. So we had taken along a guitar. In one of the Airbnbs that we stayed in, there was even a piano. And Roland plays the piano. So he sat down at the piano and played and we sang and we just had such a terrific time. To give you an example of the kind of nonsense, in San Francisco we had lined up to have a turn on the streetcars. Yes, everybody made the joke about streetcar named Desire. Anyway, so we were standing there in a line and I can't stand for long because of my knee. So I found a corner of a building to perch on. And I had my dark glasses on, and of course there's my white hair, and I'm sitting over there, on the corner, and I had to hunch like this because, it was a corner of the building, the wall was in my back. And after a little while, a young guy comes along and he puts some money in my hand. No, I don't take, no. I was looking so shocked. He burst out laughing. He says, "It's your friends there." And I looked, and my so-called friends, they had caught this guy, they had put him up to it, and they were taking a video of the whole thing. Okay, so this is the kind of, prank that we're playing. And we got talking to this young man afterwards. He's a medical student from Yorkshire. And he says, We said, how old are you? He says, I'm 29. So we look at each other and say, our youngest children are older than that. You know, so I hope he got a good idea of what old age can be. So, all of us creaking and, like knees paining and this and that. Arthur was the fittest he was the oldest and the fittest among us because his work is such. He does decorating, interior decoration of houses and things. So he's up and down ladders and it just kept him fit. So, we'd need to bend and do something and we say, wait for Arthur. He was the only person who could bend down or sit on the ground or, get out something from a lower cupboard, So, this helped me tremendously because you see, there was that whole chunk of my life with my husband, and this was going back to a time before that and sort of renewing myself and sort of remembering who I used to be, and so it was very comforting, it was very healing, and it taught us all that we were still young at heart. But apart from being young at heart, there was what added, a piquancy or a sort of a greater depth, you might say, to our enjoyment, was the knowledge that yes, we may be young at heart, but we are old. We are older. And we are a product of our experiences in the meantime. We have all lost. We have all suffered in some way. We all feel our vulnerability and our mortality. And that adds zest to your enjoyment. So that's what I came away with. That feeling of togetherness, solidarity with old friends, and it gave me hope for the future, and it really helped me in my healing process. So that was my journey through space and time.